The biggest lesson that you've learned from a failure?
Biggest lesson I have learned from a failure is you got to be stronger.
Yes.
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Right. Very, very natural that we face setbacks, we face disappointments, because I think it's always, the ups and downs of life are there. And I personally believe that if you don't have the downs, you'll never appreciate the ups.
In Hindi, there's a saying, right? खुद को कर बुलंद इतना
Yes.
कि हर तकदीर से पहले खुदा बंदे से खुद पूछे बता तेरी रजा क्या है.
Yes, yes, yes.
So I feel be that buland, that strong person, that the world looks up at you and says, okay, what will she do next?
Yes, yes. Hi, Vineeta, and welcome to the About Her show. I mean, high time you made it to the show. We've been trying for so long. This is a show
Hi,
where we
Sangeeta.
yes, hi. So this is a show where we get trailblazing women to share the story of their lives with us, to tell us about their successes, failures, challenges, everything. So not only do they get to talk about themselves, which we women actually rarely do, but they also help us in inspiring other women who have dreams, ambitions, but for some reason they're not able to, fulfill them, pursue them. And along with women, we also get men on the show who champion such women, because we believe that a truly gender inclusive world requires both men and women to coexist. So a very, very warm welcome to you.
Thank you, Sangeeta. I'm so happy to be here with you today. And when it's about her, it's about you. Anything you do, I'll be happy to be a part of it. And talking about trailblazers, I am very grateful and very honored to be on the trail that you are blazing right now. So thank you for having me.
Thank you. All right. So now, just as an icebreaker, if you could tell us a little bit about your early life, early days, the multiple careers that you've had that I'm aware of, and how did that all culminate into what you're doing now, the Orator Academy?
Well, it's a very loaded question. It can take a whole hour or multiple segments to answer, but I'll try and keep it as succinct as possible. So yes, you know my background, and so all I can say is that where it starts, I'll get to it, but where it ends is where I'm right now.
Yeah.
I'm realizing what a true Gemini is, because I'm so all over the place in different directions.
Yeah.
But I'm loving it, and I am thriving also. So you know what? Bring it on.
Yes.
And we'll see how it goes. That's become my attitude, and it served me well.
Yeah.
So coming from a middle class family, a very good student academically, topping my entire grade. Of course, then in that generation, in our generation, parents also have expectations. You are how you fare in your school and your life.
Yeah.
Reflects somehow the parents' success in their life. So we come from that generation, right? So we are caught in the middle with our parents above and the children ahead. We are trying to please both.
Yeah.
So that was happening. And at some point in high school, I became a bit of a rebel. And I said, no more expectations from me. I'm going to do it differently.
Okay.
And I don't know where this sudden fire in me come in to just defy.
Okay.
When I look back, I feel that was slightly not very prudent of me to be so defiant, because whatever my parents had envisioned for me were also very beautiful plans. But I became defiant when it was time to select in science, commerce, or humanities in high school. Since I topped the grade, I was eligible to either. So the obvious choice was supposed to be science. And my father was a civil engineer, so that would have been a good way to go too. But just because it was expected of me, I said, nope, I'll do commerce.
Okay.
So now I do commerce in high school. And then when it's time to apply for colleges, everybody's saying BCom honors or eco honors. So since all this noise was coming my way, I said, no, English honors. So it was, so I just kept doing my defiance project was absolutely not so smart, but nonetheless, all works out at the end. So I did that. Then I somehow kind of drifted towards the hotel industry, the service industry. I think it may be because of a cousin of mine who I kind of looked up to and still do.
Hmm.
So joined Taj Hotels, my first job, immediately out of college.
Okay.
And I basically wanted to do so much in my life and very quickly. I just couldn't wait. I just had to do it now.
Hmm.
And so barely 1 year in Taj, and I got into Air India because I was very clear. I wanted to see the world. I knew I didn't have the money for it.
Yeah.
And I wanted to see the world, not just domestic. So I was very clear. I was applying only to international airlines and got into Air India, luckily, which was brilliant because we had no restrictions on sectors. We flew everywhere.
Okay.
So that happened. And then suddenly, a few years later, about 4 or 5 years, I must have flown. And then a move to US happened. And
Okay.
now what? So then somebody said, "Hey, you are." I also learned classical music along the way.
Hmm.
So then people said, "Hey, you are a music student. Why don't you? You have a good voice. You have a good speaking voice. Try the radio." So are
Okay.
you kidding me? But you know what? When somebody puts that bug in my head, I must explore. So
Yeah.
then I said, "What? Let me explore the radio route." It worked out.
Hmm.
16 years of radio,
Yes. Yes.
and it was phenomenal. I grew with that
Hmm.
experience each day. The show was very well received. I call it Coffee, Tea, and Me.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
because for the flight attendants, there's a book called Coffee, Tea, or Me.
Okay. So,
So I made it Coffee, Tea, and Me for copyright issues.
okay.
And my radio name was Vicky. So Coffee, Tea, and Me with Vicky.
Yeah.
And it was fantastic. I had a great, great time. Explored new music through that and chit chat through that. Got picked up by NPR, National Public Radio, New York and Philly. It's been just it's been all over the place, but such a fantastic experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think I'll just stop at this. Otherwise, I'll keep going on. There's so much to talk about.
Please go on. Yeah. And then
No,
how
so for
did you come to this point where you started this Orator Academy?
so yeah, so then what happened? I was also raising a young family when I moved to the US. So I was raising my children, doing the radio. And then I was also very active in the school system because I was trying to understand how the American schools worked.
Hmm. Hmm.
So out of my own need, I got very actively involved. And again, when something seems difficult to the others, Vineeta Khanna must do it.
Of course.
So things like that were happening in our school system in the sense that the PTA, the Parent Teacher Association, is very, very super active.
Hmm.
So I became part of that. I volunteered for a particular committee, which was called the Multicultural Committee.
Okay.
And in the summer, we would get a package saying, okay, these are the PTA committees. Which one would you like to chair or volunteer?
Hmm.
So there was a multicultural committee, and I thought to myself, this seems right up my alley.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go for it. I crossed the chair box.
Okay.
So in September, I get a call from the PTA president saying, "Hi, Mrs. Khanna." They call me Mrs. Khanna, not
Yeah.
Khanna.
Yeah. Yeah.
"Hi, Mrs. Khanna. Thank you. This is Katie from the PTA. Thank you so much for signing up and for volunteering your time. But we have a slight problem." I said, "What is the problem?" "The problem is that the Multicultural Committee is a brand new committee. We've never had it before, and nobody signed up except Mrs. Khanna
Okay. All right.
and signed up to chair, not even a volunteer. Like,
Okay.
what was I thinking? So she said, "Since you signed up to chair, did you have a plan?" I said, "Oh gosh." I told her honestly. I said, "Katie, I was hoping that somebody would guide me and tell me how you guys have been doing it before, and I will take it further." She said, "No, we've never had it before. None of the other schools in our town have it either."
Okay. Okay.
So since our community is now getting more and more diverse, we thought it would be a good idea to have a multicultural celebration as well.
Okay.
So she said, "Don't worry, we can shelve it. No
Hmm.
love lost because we've never done it before.
Yeah.
Nobody's done it, so no worries." But again, I can't take that, right? It's a defeat, self-defeat.
Hmm.
So my thing, I said, "Katie, let me think about it." So I dwelled upon it for a bit and then came back with a plan to have a fashion show, a dance talent performance, and parents brought food from their homes,
Wow.
different cuisines
Hmm.
with all ingredients on index cards for allergy purposes and also for information purposes as to what goes on in that food. So
Yeah.
parents did the fashion show.
Okay.
I
Right.
I kind of taught them how to walk the stage and walk the ramp. And they did the talent show also. I remember a Chinese mother did the ribbon dance,
Okay.
and
Oh,
she looked
okay.
absolutely amazing. So see, now that airline experience
Yeah.
helped me because I had seen the different cultures through my experiences.
True.
And through Air India, I had also gone to Laos
Mm-hmm.
near Cambodia
Yeah.
for a festival where I had walked the ramp
Okay. Okay.
representing India.
Yeah. Okay.
So I had that experience of how to put these cross signs and how to kind of plan out the path for the
Mm,
models to walk. So that was hugely successful.
mm,
And then I started getting calls from the other schools in the town saying, "Hey, Mrs. Khanna, you did this. It was very successful. Can you also be our mentor and guide in this?" And suddenly I became Vineeta Multicultural Khanna. And yeah, that was, I think that was the trail that I feel very proud to have blazed in town.
mm-hmm.
Because right now, 10, 15 years later,
Yeah.
the way multicultural is celebrated in every school is
Mm,
beyond what I had done at that point. They have taken it to a whole new level. And
mm.
you see your child grow, that kind of joy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was doing all of that, and then I was connecting with children so much. My children used to go to Sunday school to learn Hindi language,
Mm,
and I started volunteering there also. So then one person said, "Hey, you do radio. You are so popular. Your show is doing so well. You connect with children so beautifully. Why don't you teach them public speaking?"
yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I looked at my friend and I said, "Are you crazy? Do you see any guru profile in me? Any teacher profile in me? You must be kidding. Why are you putting the children in my hands?" But jokes apart, that's what got Orator Academy started, and never looking back after that. I think officially it's been 10 years since I started Orator Academy,
Mm.
but the first program I ran was Orators Are Us,
Okay.
like
Mhm.
the Toys R Us, Kids
Yeah.
R Us,
Yeah.
Orators Are Us.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I didn't want to restrict it to only children, so I then renamed it to Orator Academy. And yeah, it's been so gratifying to see the transformations and the success stories of my students. So personally gratifying. So here we are today.
I
I
can
mean, there's
relate to this
will
because I also teach as a profession. So when your students do well, you feel as if that's a part of you. Hugely, hugely gratifying. So tell me, Vineeta, such an eventful and such an enriching journey that you've had, so where you've come to now. I'm sure it must have been fraught with challenges. We face them all the time in different shapes and sizes, different forms. And we women also tend to face challenges because of our gender. So, in this entire journey that you've had so far, could you tell us a little bit about some of the challenges that you faced and if you think some of those were because of your gender?
hmm. So yes, everything that you do has its own challenges, and I think the challenges kind of make you even sharper.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you are tenacious and you are resilient, and it tests your own mindset,
True,
that
true.
how far will you push yourself? Because I feel the outside elements can only defeat me if I personally accept defeat within.
Right.
So I I will never accept defeat. I will never tell myself that, Vineeta, you are defeated, you are unable or incapable of doing this. I'll never tell myself that
Mm,
without giving it all that I can to
yeah.
make it happen.
Mm,
So I would say that as a woman, I don't think there was any challenge at all,
okay. Mm-hmm.
because I never saw myself like that also. I've had so many male friends all along through my life,
Mm,
and they've been buddies to me. So I always felt that, there's nothing different except that I have a few physical limitations that they don't.
yeah, yeah.
But apart from that, I am probably better in so many ways. And
Mm,
if I put my mind to what they are doing, I will definitely surpass.
mm,
I mean, at the risk of sounding a little arrogant, but
yeah.
but
I get what.
but I
Yeah.
so I don't think as a woman I ever felt any issues or discrimination. The biggest challenge was after I moved to this country,
Yeah.
where especially when I went to the PTA meetings. And
Yeah.
they're all mothers who are in that meeting because it's parent run, barely any fathers for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking in front of those, because there were barely any Indians in the community at that time in my town.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember standing up and speaking, and all those glares at you.
Yeah.
You feel like you're burning at that point because you're so cognizant of all the looks on you. And then you have to put your tunnel vision and say, hey, I'm just going to focus on what I am here to deliver
Yeah.
and do the best I can and move on. So yeah, I don't think see, like I said before, change is what makes life a little more interesting. Yes, change also brings challenges,
Mm-hmm.
but challenges also bring growth if you are resilient. So, you know, I'm grateful that I never had a feeling of stagnation.
Mm-hmm.
It's always been so to the extent of almost being volatile.
Okay.
So always moving very quickly without thinking. People ask me, why did you move to the US? No big plan. We
Mm-hmm.
had a lot of family here. I was here in 95 on vacation when I was pregnant with my daughter. And everybody said, you have your baby here. The whole world comes to deliver babies in America. Don't go back, have your baby here. And I decided to go back to India and deliver my baby in India because I said, hey, this is the first baby I'm ever having. I don't know how this works. I need my doctor.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, so there was no desire to move to the US also. But since there was a lot of family, I knew that, and I had been here so many times on flights, on job,
Mm.
it didn't feel like a foreign land so much.
Yeah.
So when the move really happened, it was literally, hey, should we give this a shot?
Mm.
All right, let's give this a shot.
Yeah.
And you know what? If not, we'll go back. No big deal. We'll test the waters and see how it works out. And what now, 27 years later,
Mm.
I'm still here and a whole new chapter began,
Yeah.
which I'm very grateful for. All good. Everything is great.
Okay. Okay. So you're right. Every challenge that you face in life, if you look at it as an opportunity for growth, I don't think you will ever associate any negativity with it. You'll always feel that, okay, this is one more reason for me to grow, evolve, to become different, to become a better person. So I think it's your perspective also which makes a lot of difference. All right. So, Vineeta, if you look back and think of people who have influenced you, inspired you, maybe mentored you, who comes to your mind? Top of your mind?
I don't think it would be fair or reasonable to even identify as a single person
Mm-hmm.
as that force.
Okay.
I think in the true Gemini spirit of mine, I have taken from
Uh,
so many people inspiration and aspiration and guidance and mentoring from so many people. I've never really put myself in one box. My father, I'd say, is hugely has been an inspiration in many ways. I don't know whether sometimes I question it. I lost him very early in life. You know that.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
sometimes, anyway, when you've lost a loved one, you think of them a little more. So I sometimes question: Am I thinking of Papa all the time because I lost him so untimely?
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, but but then I also kind of rationalize that thought in my head and as to what did I actually take from him.
Mm,
I
mm.
think he's my spiritual guide.
Okay.
He was such a kind, such a good-hearted, such a clean, such a industrious, diligent man,
Mm,
and he was a giver, and he believed in giving back to the community. He
mm.
believed that together we grow you. It's not a solo journey.
True.
It is a collective group journey.
Mm,
And so I think I've had that mindset in many ways, considering what I'm currently doing also with my life,
mm-hmm.
because I've made a place for myself in the community here,
Yeah.
which I feel so grateful for because coming to a foreign land and having a face, a known face is something which I never thought will happen.
Mm,
And I was not even striving for it, but it was a great experience. So I think in terms of even music, I'm a big music person. I music is everything to me. I can't imagine my life without music. And I sing with all my heart and soul. That's another side of me.
yeah. Yeah.
So sometimes I find myself humming tunes that were not naturally my style. And then I questioned, how is it happening? Why am I getting drawn towards this kind of music? And then I realized Papa used to listen to it. So
Mm-hmm.
somewhere in your psyche or in your DNA, I'm drawn to that kind of music. Spiritually, I'm the kind of person my father was. Um, I don't know. So maybe Papa in many ways,
Okay.
but in terms of physical fitness and discipline, probably my mother.
Yes, yes.
And in terms of music. So when I started learning music, I was learning from Gandharv Mahavidyalaya in Delhi, which is Gwalior Gharana.
Mm-hmm.
And we used to listen to, my first teacher was Shiva Mudgal,
Oh, okay, okay.
Shiva Didi.
I
And
did. Okay. All right.
yes, yes. And again, that was so coincidental.
Mm,
And it was just, I have such sweet memories of that time. So
mm,
this was Gwalior Gharana. The way Gwalior Gharana delivers music is so kind of straightforward and straight shooting.
mm, mm.
And so that kind of brought me into the world of that kind of Nirguni bhajan and all of that, which was, again, musical enrichment as well as spiritual enrichment. So till date, I mean, then when I moved here, I joined Pandit Jasraj School of Music, and I learned from Pandita Tripti Mukherjee and then Bade Guruji, Pandit Jasraj ji.
Mm.
And so that was Mewati Gharana, a whole different style of music. So again, now I got to test the waters there. But again, I would still say Papa, Mom, music, Shubha Didi, I look at because my first guru.
Yeah, yeah.
And 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 now that in my current political over here, of course, I've learned to stay calm from my husband. He's
Mm,
very calm.
mm, mm,
And I continue to learn a lot from my children too, because I feel I look back at the generation past and learn, because they have so much to guide us with, so much wisdom to share.
yeah,
And then I look at the generation next, because where are they taking this world to? What are their expectations of us?
mm,
Am I still relevant
yeah,
when I'm with them?
yes,
So I don't focus on my current so much as I kind of focus forward as to what. So I think in terms of mentors also, my mentors are several. And now that you know that I'm also exploring the political scene a little bit here.
mm,
And my very dear friend, who's currently the mayor of our town, also Al Anthony,
mm,
I look at him as my mentor in terms of the political foray. And because he's such a wonderful man,
mm,
so a good, strong family man.
mm,
I see how beautiful and how cohesive and how loving and how connected the family is, and how good he is in giving back to the communities. And I think to myself, you know, you can be a politician and you can be that nice and
yeah.
clean. So again, I look up to him. So there's so many, I look up to you in so many ways. You inspired me with
Okay.
this whole
Thank you.
podcasting. Of course, of course. So, I'm seeking inspiration from all these wonderful people that have been placed in my life.
Mm. So actually, Vineeta, what this shows is that you have a very open mind. You're open to change, you're open to new ideas, you're open to accepting those ideas, trying them out. And this just shows, anybody who wants to grow and evolve in life, you have to have that openness about you. So yes, your dad, your parents generally, are the ones who you look up to and throughout your life. And of course, the fact that you lost your dad when you were so young. So I can totally relate to that because I've been through the same experience. But then, as you go along in life, you find that there are so many others, be it your children, be it somebody around you. There are so many people, but I think the key thing is that you have to be open, that yes, this person's doing something nice, something good, I like it, and I will draw inspiration from it. So ultimately, I think it boils down to you as a person. Okay. So of course, public speaking is your forte, has been for a very long time. So if you meet somebody who also wants to get into this, or just wants to be able to speak well, not maybe for some other reason, but just to be able to speak well, what are those 3 tips that you will straight away tell them that these are the things which will enable you, which will help you to become a really good public speaker?
A very relevant question, Sangeeta. And the thing is that there's a lot of ambiguity about this whole business of public speaking as to what do I need to do and how do I need to be.
Yeah, yeah.
First things first, you don't need to be anything or anyone. You need to be just authentically you.
Uh-huh.
We need to be who we are.
Yeah.
I have realized in my working with so many different demographics of students, age-wise and background-wise, that it all starts from here.
Mm-hmm.
If your mind is at ease, if you've no clouds in your head,
Yeah.
you will perform better, period. So the three things that I feel that we need to be mindful of: one,
Mm-hmm.
know yourself,
Okay.
know what you are, know your skill set. And I give the example of we make a flossom chart in class.
Okay.
Flossom, FLAWSOME.
Mhm.
And when I write that word, it's a made up word. And I ask my students, what do you think it means? And they say, well, I have some flaws, flossom. But my idea is that, well, no, let's break it up.
Mm-hmm.
It's flaws, and then it's awesome. It's flawsome. So
Uh-huh.
we are all uniquely flawsome. We are all flawed, yet we are all awesome. So find your flaws. Well, find your awesomeness and know your flaws.
Okay. Okay.
So when we think with that mindset, what is my awesomeness? Find your awesomeness. What am I really kick ass at? What am I really good at?
Mm.
And then also be aware of your flaws so that nobody can abuse
Yeah.
your shortcomings, your weaknesses. So know that in terms of your what do you need to correct in terms of your personality. Bring out your personality. Public speaking and communication is not one size fits all. It's not a cookie cut mold that you'll fit into. Don't try to fit into every mold that comes along your way.
Yeah.
You create your own shape, your own mold. Imagine yourself trying to fit into other people's molds. You'll be bent out of shape. You will have lost your sense of self, and that's going to take away all your confidence and sense of conviction. So,
Mm.
know first is know who you are. Very strong sense of conviction that gives you the confidence. What am I,
Mm.
and what can I do? I am, I can,
Mm.
sense of conviction, and
Yeah.
then I will, confidence. So that's number one. Second is focus on what you need to do.
Mm-hmm.
What do you need to do? What is the task at hand? If
Yeah.
you're supposed to speak to some a crowd or to one person, what is the premise of the meeting or that event? What is expected of you? Just focus on the task at hand and give it all.
Okay.
Don't try too hard to impress.
Mm.
So you, the job at hand, and who it's going to.
Yeah.
Be very mindful of the audience. It must be worth their time
Yes.
and yours.
Yes.
So, just don't show up for the sake of showing up.
Mm.
Make it worth your time and make it worth theirs too. So, knowing yourself, being really good at the task at hand, go very well prepared, and be mindful of the audience. There, are you giving them what they need from you? And
Yeah.
are you giving the best that you can give them? That's it. And I think FDR said, be sincere,
Mm.
be brief, be seated.
Wow. Wow. That
I
says it.
love it.
That says it all.
That says it all.
Yes, yes. So I think this should really help because even when I was listening to you, I just felt, I mean, how many of these out of these three, what is it that I'm not able to do? And I think even if you're able to do, you can always get better at it. So,
Of
like
course.
openness of mind, I think that's so, so essential. Okay.
And Sangeeta, you are exploring yourself continuously. I mean, I've been following you and your journey, and I see how you are furthering yourself. Every time I see you're doing something beyond what I thought you were doing last year.
Yeah.
So your growth, you're also not limiting yourself. You're just continuously growing and inspiring all who are watching you. So you never I mean, you're leading by example yourself, and that's a wonderful thing to do. You have so many students who look up to you. So when they see you do all of this, they also feel that, yes, you know what? You can be really academically inclined, but not a geek.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
And you can be really and again, you can be really fabulous looking.
Okay, thank you. I'm
And
taking that as a compliment.
a professor can be really beautiful looking and present yourself nicely. There's no expected you know persona.
Yeah, yeah,
You kind of just be who you are. Oh,
yes,
I'm a professor, I must look like this. Oh, I'm this and I must look like that. No, just be who you are. Look like who you are.
yes. I think
So
being
you are doing
authentic.
amazing.
Thank you so much. And I think being authentic is what it is.
Authentic.
And don't
Yeah,
hold yourself back.
yeah, yeah.
I believe that the world is your oyster. Just go out.
Hmm.
You only stop yourself. There's nobody else who can do that for you.
Nobody else.
Yeah, you're
Nobody
pretty
else.
self-sufficient when it comes to it if you really want to stop yourself or you don't want to do that. Okay. So, Vineeta, women and of course men too, but I think women more are constantly battling between their personal and professional lives. When we're doing, one bit at home, then we're worried about work. When we're at work, we're worried about home. So there's always a tussle and we're always trying to balance. Now, you've been doing it for several years now. So, how do you do that? Is there any secret recipe that you have, or, some again, your way of doing it? Would you like to share that?
I think women have superpowers.
Hmm.
We've been
I
blessed,
agree.
right? So I
Yeah.
think I see all my girlfriends around me. Everybody is a professional woman. Everybody is also very connected with the family, their own and extended, and have large social circles and keeping up with everything with such elan and such pizzazz. It's just so inspiring.
Mhm.
So yes, when I came to this country, I did feel like I became an ABCD. When you think of ABCD, you think of American Born Confused Daisy, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But well, ABCD has also evolved. It became American Born Culture Daisy.
Oh,
Now,
okay.
I am not American born.
Mm.
So, how does ABCD apply to me?
Huh.
When I moved to this country, I became Aya, Bai, cook, and driver.
All right.
So,
Yes.
so, so, but the thing was, my mindset was that okay, first of all, I never cooked back in India, so started to do that. All right, I drove.
Yeah.
I like driving. I drove in India, despite that the have the facility of a driver. I used to still like to drive,
Mm.
but I took my driving to a whole different level. I really love driving, and I really like driving a good car.
Mm.
Cooking, no brainer anymore. It's like, so one of the aunts actually said to me over the phone when a few years after we had moved, and she said, "सुना है तू बड़ी स्मार्ट हो गई है, तो 30 लोग का खाना फटाफट बना लेती है." So
Okay.
I paused, I smiled, and I said, "अरे आंटी, स्मार्ट तो हम शुरू से थे." जब जरूरत जहां पड़ती है अप्लाई करते हैं. Why do I need to overextend and over apply myself, right?
True,
So
true.
I think I think in that way, yes, women have superpowers. I feel we can do it all. We do it all brilliantly,
Mm.
but we also have to start asking for help. Let's not kill ourselves doing things like that.
Yeah.
So there is no harm in asking and demanding.
Mm.
You know, I'm sure you've seen that interview of Indira Nui,
Yeah,
PepsiCo's,
yeah,
when she was,
yeah,
where she said that when she got that position and she came home,
yeah,
she walked in with much excitement, and her mother, who was staying with her, said, "Okay, leave your crown in the garage. There's no milk in the house.
yeah, yeah. I
Go
know.
get milk."
Mm, mm, mm.
So again, it's women do that to each other also, unfortunately.
Yeah, they
Our
do.
expectations of each other, we are the ones who'll tell, who'll gossip and say, "Oh, she doesn't even know how to run her house. Look at her. The child came home, there was nothing in the fridge for the child, poor child, to eat."
Mm.
Well, if I stop cooking, the world is not going to go hungry.
Yeah,
So, but I think just prioritize what I want from myself.
yeah, yeah.
Because if I am not a happy person, I will not be a happy homemaker.
Mm, mm,
So I need to make sure that I'm in a good space,
mm.
and only then will I do justice to all my other relationships,
I agree.
social and personal.
Correct.
So I think women have been just brilliant in striking that balance. But
Mm,
at the same time, my daughter, you met her so many times. And I
mm.
sometimes tell her, I said, "What is this? Clean up your room."
Mm.
How will you carry on through life like this?
Mm.
She said, I'll pay somebody to clean up my room.
Yeah, actually, why not? Yeah, yeah.
So, her priorities are different. It's not that she's just lounging around. She's busy doing something which is on the top of a priority list, and she did not have time to clean her room at that moment.
Yeah,
So
true.
then again, I have to take my mother's voice out of my head because my mother would not allow that. I
Mm-hmm.
just shut her door and I walk away and I don't go back to her room.
Mm-hmm.
That's her room is her world. I don't need to run everybody's lives to be a good woman of the house.
Correct, correct. Yeah, yeah,
So yeah, I think we just don't need to put extra demands on ourselves.
yeah,
And again, you said, right, be authentic.
yeah.
In this also, be authentic. Do what you can and just say, no, I can't when you can't.
I agree. I agree. And there is no harm in saying that. It's not a defeat or anything. It's just being realistic and practical that I just cannot do it. So, which is, I think, absolutely fine.
Yeah, I mean, come on. I might be a devi in some way, but I don't have those multiple arms.
I don't. I don't. And I don't need to grow them as well.
I
There's a,
don't need to grow them as well. Yeah, I'm a human. I'm not a supernatural person. I'm a human being, just like everybody else around us. So, and I'm trying to do the best. Again, like I said, if you are in a happy place yourself, the family will be a happy family too. So these are minor things. Everybody needs to kind of come on the same page.
yeah, I agree. So, Vineeta, we all try to lead lives that we want, picking on situations and events, according to our choice. I mean, whatever, we want to do in life. But yet, it is very, very natural that we face setbacks, we face disappointments, because I think it's always, the ups and downs of life are there. And I personally believe that if you don't have the downs, you'll never appreciate the ups. So they're both, part of it. It's, two faces of the same coin. But when you are faced with a disappointment or a setback, how do you keep yourself motivated or, like right on track?
Yes, like you said, I like that statement of yours that if you never see a down, you'll never appreciate the up.
Yeah.
So I often give my students the example of a heartbeat chart. When you print out the heartbeat, it goes up and down, up and down.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that means your heart is alive and kicking, and
True.
a flat line is a dead man.
Correct.
So just like that, life is up and down.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if it was a flat line, it would be a dead life. There would be no life.
Right.
So yes, it comes, it's a package. You'll enjoy the ups, but know that there will be eventually a down too. And when you're down there, know that it'll eventually go up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the rhythm, the cadence keeps you going. That brings music to your life, the
Yeah.
up and down. And talking about the music analogy, I think of the different moods of music. Again, there
Mm.
would be no different moods of music if there were no different emotions and different experiences that
Yeah.
we get those emotions from. I'm also a big believer of the divine plan.
Mm-hmm.
So when I can't justify what is happening and why it's happening, and I can't understand why it's happening, I just leave it to the divine plan. And I think to myself, you know what, there must be a reason behind it. I hope you know what you're doing.
Well, yes. Yeah. Yeah.
I, I actually I laugh at myself because I find myself doing that. Like, what are you doing? What's
Yeah.
the plan?
Hmm.
And I just kind of leave it without trying to struggling to solve it in the moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is almost like you've kept something very safe.
Hmm.
Then when you go to look for it, you don't find it because it's kept so safe.
Right. Right.
But
Right.
eventually you will find it
Hmm. Hmm.
when you're not looking frantically for it.
Oh, I so agree with this. Yes. Yeah.
Right? The
Yeah.
more you chase something, the more it eludes, the more it runs away from you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
or so it feels because you are desperately seeking it and it's not coming to you.
Yeah.
So just keep moving one step in front of the other. That's all you need to focus. I mean, at least I tell myself that
Hmm.
all I need to do is just focus on left before right and right before left and keep walking. Stay in motion.
Yeah.
Eventually, I'll hit an incline where I'll start rolling,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then be an incline up where I'll have to like huff and puff and climb up again.
Yeah.
But that's the beauty. That will keep me fit physically and mentally.
Yeah.
So just stay in the motion, in the moment, just keep moving. No, don't ever stop.
Mm-hmm.
And looking back, my life, as you know, has been through so many of these various paths and unplanned areas. When I look back, when I was going through it and I was thinking to myself, where is it leading? Why am I doing what I'm doing? Am I wasting my time doing this? But looking back, I realized how beautifully the dots connect.
Yes.
I had to go through that to get to another place where the divine plan was destined to take me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I sound very old fashioned, but you know what? It keeps me sane.
Yeah.
I'd rather it's something that's beyond my control. That also gives, makes you realize that not everything is in your control.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Rather than getting frustrated about it and saying, but why can't I fix it? And why can't I change it? And I wanted to do it this way. Why is it not happening that way? Instead of getting frustrated about it, when I just say, I leave it to the divine plan, I let it take me where it's taking me. There must be a purpose.
Yeah.
I'm just keeping my sanity at that moment and hoping that things will work out. And I've seen so many stories play out around me
Yeah.
where I see the stories where they just pivoted,
Yeah.
changed path. But when you look back, it just made so much sense.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
You
Yes.
know,
Yeah.
I mean, I had no interest in coming to the US. I had no interest in doing, you know, in being a guru, a teacher. And here I am loving it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I had no interest in cooking meals and having people over, and I'm doing it in
Yeah.
such a large way. So I'm kind of balancing every aspect of my life in a very I also am a very big I think I demand a lot from myself. So I'm doing everything that I'm doing without super planning. Again, I go back to my father. See, there was so many plans that Papa used to make. I'll do this, and when you get, when you have a baby, we'll do this, and then nothing happened because he just left.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So at that stage, and I was 25, pregnant with my first baby and his first grandchild that he never saw.
Oh my God.
So then I think to myself, you know what? There is absolutely no point in planning and over planning and over planning. Just live the day, man. I don't know whether I'll wake up tomorrow. So I'm
Absolutely.
going to live today to the best of my ability and make sure that I'm happy when I go to bed and I feel like I had a good day.
Yeah.
That's it.
I think that's all we can do, and that's all we should focus on. It's not
Yeah.
don't plan anything at all, but then just don't focus your life only on planning. Live also, live those plans.
Live.
And like you
And
said,
if those,
yeah,
yeah.
say.
No, speak. You finish your statement.
I'm just saying that what you're saying is like, I also believe that you live life forwards, but you understand it backwards. You never know why certain things are happening. And at that time, you're like, you may be angry, you may be disappointed, you may be whatever, not in a very positive space. But then you have to know and have to believe that there is a reason behind everything that is happening in your life. Nothing is happening purely by chance. It is meant to happen. It is happening the way it should be happening or was supposed to happen. So, yeah.
That's all we can say, and that's all we can do to keep our sanity.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So, Vineeta, we have reached a certain stage in life, where we've kind of chased dreams. We're still chasing, we're doing stuff that we want. And, fortunately, we're able to do it also. But if a young girl, which a number of young girls do kind of interact with you, were to come to you and ask you for some piece of advice on how she should approach life, both personally and professionally, someone who's in the age bracket of 18, 19, what are some of the things that you would definitely like to tell them?
Well, one thing, first of all, know your flawsomeness, know
Yes.
who you are,
Yes.
your goods and your bads, and never second judge yourself.
Okay.
Never second judge yourself. If you think you are capable of something, don't let anybody talk you out of it.
Okay.
Don't give in to the noise around you. You see a sportsman before they go to perform, they have like Michael Phelps, I used to see, the great swimmer.
Hmm.
He would be sitting in the back with a hoodie, the hood up, and AirPods or something in his ears, listening to music with a very straight face and expression, not looking left, not looking right. He was just focusing, centering all his energies into what he was going to deliver next.
Hmm.
Just like that, cut out the noise.
Yeah.
Be like the horse with blinders,
Hmm. Hmm.
not to get distracted, not to get talked out of something. Never let anybody tell you what you can't do.
Hmm. Hmm.
So listen to people who give you wings.
Yeah.
Honor those people who give you wings and who tell you you can fly and the sky is the limit and
Hmm.
beyond.
Hmm. Hmm.
So and definitely not to ever listen to anything which is like this is not meant for girls.
Oh, yes. Yes. Yeah.
So because the attitude should be try me,
Yeah. 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 True.
not try to prove yourself to somebody, just prove yourself to yourself.
Very well
Are
said.
you happy with who you are? Are you happy how you are carrying yourself? Are you happy in the direction you are walking?
Yeah. Yeah.
And if not, why not?
Hmm.
Just build yourself so strong,
Hmm.
you as a person.
Yeah.
And not to say I am like this because they were like that around me and they were like that. How
Hmm.
long will you keep blaming people or society? No, grow. Just in Hindi, there's a saying, right? खुद को कर बुलंद इतना कि
Yes.
हर तकदीर से पहले खुदा बंदे से खुद पूछे बता तेरी रजा क्या है.
Yes. Yes.
So
Yes.
I feel be that buland, that strong person,
Hmm.
that the world looks up at you and says, okay, what will she do next?
Yes. 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 So I think having that self belief, that confidence in yourself, belief in yourself, believe in yourself, I think that is so important. So important. Of course, you're not being foolhardy or anything. Whatever you're doing, yes, there is that, that whatever needs that foundation, you have it. But once you have that foundation, then don't let anyone come in the way of that. And you so rightly said, be with people who give you the wings, who also believe in you and encourage you. That's so important. And at a young age, of course, you need those kind of people. Okay. So Vineeta, we look around us and we see women, making strides in different spaces. You look here, or whether it is a corporate career, or it is, somebody is a lawyer, or it's acting. I mean, you name it, and you find women everywhere in every, sphere. But yet, we do face challenges, and we do face barriers and discrimination and disparity and all of that. So when you look around you, what are those some of those things which you feel are still hindering women's rise to wherever they are meant to be or wherever they should be?
I think it again goes to oneself first,
Okay.
because anybody else, an outside force or an outside person, will hinder my growth because I'll allow them to.
Okay. All right.
If I don't give that anybody or anything that right over me to influence me in such a deep manner,
Hmm.
then that won't happen. So it boils down to how you
Hmm.
deal with those forces and those influences. So no, I can't allow anybody else to influence me in that manner or make me feel less
Mm-hmm.
as a woman.
Hmm.
Um, no, I think even in this particular, I think sometimes women are women's worst enemies
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
in terms of, well, which I think is changing now, but in terms of social growth, in terms of professional growth,
Hmm.
sometimes women are the ones who judge other women the most, and it really boils my blood
Hmm.
when even in social circles, what is she wearing? What does she think she's looking? She's a gold digger. She's on his arm for something. She's trying too hard. Do you ever see men talking like that about each other? Never.
Hmm. Hmm.
I've
Hmm.
never seen a man talk about, Oh, what is he wearing? What does he think? He's trying too hard to please. He's trying too hard to impress. He's trying too hard to fit in. I've never seen men talk about that. No matter how diverse the professional demographic of men at a particular event might be, they'll still be clinking
Hmm.
glasses and drinking and having a good time.
Hmm.
We have demands of ourselves and expectations from others too.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
we are judging each other, even in a family, even in a home setup. It's the mother-in-law and the daughter-in-law, and then, oh, I paid my dues, so I must make her pay her dues also. It doesn't work like that. I Again, the father-in-law could be not bothered.
hmm.
Beta, be the way you want to be.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah,
the mother-in-law. Does she not know how our family has been all this time? Does she not know how our family deals in society and moves in society? And it's a woman thing. So we need to, what we are doing here right now,
yeah, yeah,
and what you started doing with About Her is about making it about women
yeah, yeah,
initially, but now also recognizing the fact that men have a great part to play, because we want these men also inspire us in so many ways.
correct.
So
Yeah,
they are an integral part of our growth. So
yeah.
let's not ignore them. So I think that was a very lovely shift that you did
Hmm. Hmm.
while keeping it about her. I understand the premise is that, okay, empowering women,
Hmm. Hmm.
but we live in a society where there are men and women and all others. So
Hmm.
we have to support each other, grow together without judging. See, I think now this is again my own thought.
Hmm.
I feel that people who judge others
Hmm.
judge themselves very poorly. They see themselves very poorly.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
to just satisfy their own um, that
Yeah,
pettiness,
yeah. Okay. All right. Hmm.
they are trying to find those flaws in others to
Hmm.
make themselves feel better. You
Yeah,
don't need to diminish another person to make you feel better.
absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with this. You don't have to do that.
So a person who's doing it is a very poor and pathetic person.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
I'd rather just remove myself from their orbit,
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
I don't want anything, any speck of their energy.
Hmm.
Because whatever the energy that you are in, you become that person too.
Yeah, you do. You do.
So it's but again, you have to be at a point where you can recognize and differentiate, right, which is the energy that you want to be in and which you want to remove yourself from.
Hmm.
So just kind of watch, observe, and think,
Hmm. Hmm.
evaluate, assess in your mind, and focus on your own growth and not how other people are affecting you. Your own growth is in your hands. Be who you are, and the world around you will work with you.
Yeah, that's true. So again, it comes to your self-belief, your confidence, your conviction, your courage of conviction. It comes to all that. Of course, I think like barriers, challenges, disparities will be there. But if you believe in yourself, if you know what you're doing is right, is based on a solid foundation, I don't think you will be able to, you will allow all these influences to influence you. Of course, there may be, of course, there are certain situations where you just cannot help it because physically, yes, you are not as strong as men. But yeah, that apart, I think everywhere else, at least you can do your bit. Okay.
Absolutely.
The reason behind this platform, as you know, was to enable women to connect with each other, to write about their experiences, to share their experiences, to read from others, listen to them. So basically, a lot of times women, maybe they don't want to, or maybe they're conditioned to believe that you cannot wash your dirty linen in public. Whatever is happening in the house should remain within the four walls. So the reason behind this was that there are times when you just need that little bit of ratification from someone, or you need to know that I'm not the only one. So that was the reason behind starting About Her. So do you think that when it comes to women being able to voice themselves, these platforms really help, or I mean we could do without them?
No, I think they definitely help. Like you said, you sometimes need that validation from the environment around you, right?
Yeah.
It feels great to get a pat on the back and say, "Hey, great job."
Hmm, hmm, hmm.
Or
Yeah.
even a proud smile from your partner or your friend,
Hmm.
and which says, "Hey, bravo." It
Yeah.
feels great.
Yeah.
So it feels great to have your cheerleading squad.
Yes.
I mean, you need that. Sometimes, you know what, I don't think anybody is being shallow when and I confess it feels great when I feel that look of pride on my husband's face or my mother's face or my children's face. It
Yeah.
feels great.
Yes,
But
yes.
at the same time, it's not that I'm trying to just get that all the time. That's not my life goal. My life goal is me,
Mm-hmm.
and me doing the best in every particular aspect of my life,
Yeah.
as me, as a daughter, as a mother, as a wife, in every capacity, as a friend. So that's the mission, that
Mm-hmm.
I go through this job. It's multiple jobs that I'm addressing to the best of my ability, but not that if I didn't get that validation, I'll feel poorly about myself.
Mm-hmm.
That shouldn't happen. You should first give a pat on the back to yourself,
Yeah.
and sometimes you need to cheer yourself before the others notice and cheer you too.
It's that oxygen mask thing in the airplane. You need to do
Yeah,
that, right?
yeah,
Isn't
you
it?
put your mask
Yeah,
on.
yeah. So
Yeah,
self-love is, yes, very, very important. But yes, like
very.
sometimes that feeling of kinship or feeling of, okay, now I'm not the only one, there are others like me around. I think that's also equally important. Okay. So coming to something which I think affects everybody, men and women both. But I feel, I could be wrong, that sometimes women's mental health issues don't get as much attention as that of men and children. I mean, because I think we are ourselves also to blame, because we put ourselves on the back burner, that let me deal with everyone else first, their problems, their issues, and then I'll come to mine. Forgetting that, like you said, if you're not happy within you, it's going to affect your family. So, what do you have to say about it? Is it true that women's mental health issues do not get as much attention as they should?
I'll tell you why. To validate your statement,
Mm.
one thing is that women's mental health issues, to your point, may seemingly be neglected because we put ourselves out as strong,
Mm.
resilient.
Yeah.
I got it. I'm controlling everybody, my life and everybody else's life around me. And
Mm.
everybody can come to me and I'll give them a hug and make them feel okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's what a woman is. You're a mother, you are the Devi and the creator and the nurturer and all of that.
Yeah.
But actually, Sangeeta, I feel that we can still talk to each other.
Mm.
Like, you can talk to your closest friend and you can talk to your sister and hash it out and say, if I have if I'm having a problem with my husband, or I can go to the best of my friends, like, what's wrong with this man? And he's such an idiot and I can't deal with him. Blah, blah, blah. I went out and I come home unburdened.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Right. So women do that. Men, unfortunately, don't have that platform or that comfort level.
Mm.
They are not as open about their problems. So I'm actually speaking contrary to what
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
said.
I know. Mm.
I feel that I sometimes feel poor men
Mm.
because they don't feel that comfort with anybody to open up to that extent. They
Yeah.
will never voice their problems about anything, their personal problems, to their friend.
Mm. Mm.
So they sit and they live with the baggage, their emotional baggage.
They do. They
Where I've unburdened with the best of my friends and I've come home happy.
Yes. 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 That's true.
So, and I'm seeing that in young boys also. I
Mm.
see that struggle in young boys right now. I mean, as young as middle school boys that I'm working with,
Mm.
I feel that the societal pressure on them
Yes.
is greater, and they can't deal with it. They don't know how to deal with it.
Mm.
they are they try to speak. Sometimes the parents observe and they feel something is wrong and I need to talk to my child, and they even then the child is unable to open up, the
Mm.
boy child, as much as a girl child would. So I think, on the contrary, women's mental health issues still get addressed because we address it ourselves
Yeah.
with our network of people. Men's mental health issues go sometimes undiagnosed, unnoticed, and unaddressed.
Because I think, like you just very rightly put it, society has a lot to do with it, because I think boys are raised to believe that they cannot show their emotions. That I think is something we're being very, very unfair and unjust, because every human being goes through various emotions, whether it's happiness, sadness, whatever, joy. It could be anything. So why is it that you are told to, put up that brave front all the time because you're the man of the house or man of whatever? That's not right. I think that is where we as mothers, and I think hopefully we've done a better job at it, we need to normalize it. That if you hurt yourself, it's okay to scream, it's okay to cry. If you're upset about something, it's okay to feel bad and talk about it. So yes, you're right, because they keep it all inside them, because that's how they are, the society wants them to be. So I think some work needs to be done in that direction. And I guess my parents and mothers, they need to
Yeah.
kind of, get their act together over there.
And
Oh,
also the fathers to lead by example.
oh,
You know,
absolutely, absolutely.
fathers of boys have that extra load of responsibility
Yeah.
to show them how to be,
Yes.
as a man, because the boy can be very close to the mother,
Mm.
but in many ways the boy looks up to the man in the house.
Of course, all the time, because father is, I mean, they can relate to the father in so many different ways, and for
Yeah,
so many different reasons. Yeah.
yeah.
So breaking away from all this. So a lot of us, you and I, of course, being very much, like a case in point, and of course, so many other people also, both men and women, they are nowadays taking to what I call midlife rebooting. In their midlives, they decide to switch careers, switch professions, and start doing something which may be diametrically opposite to what they've been doing so far. So you take to writing or painting, which I basically feel are those softer things which you probably wanted to do, and couldn't do when you were, growing up, and you couldn't like, pursue a career in that, field. So why do you think this is happening? Was it happening earlier also, or is it like now that people are more accepting and more flexible, so a lot of people are doing a lot of these things? What do you have to say about it?
Talking about diametrically opposed, I feel like my life is a circle. It continues to move. It's not stopping at a point. But I think midlife rebooting is probably, I love that term, by the way. Uh, it's happening because we are taking our mental health in our own hands too.
Hmm, hmm, hmm,
And I was discussing with another bunch of friends, and the discussion was that when we hit our 40s,
hmm.
there was a sense of liberation.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
felt released from certain expectations of society, or I released myself
yeah,
from
yeah.
societal expectations, and I decided I am going to be fully 200% me.
Hmm, hmm, true.
In 20s, the 20s are hard, you're looking for a job, you're trying to settle down professionally. 30s are hard, you're starting a family, that particular, we all went through that. And
Yeah.
in 40s, children are slightly older, and you then think to yourself, okay, now what? I
Hmm,
left a piece of me behind. I left a piece of me unnurtured. I
hmm,
need to take care of myself. So then people get into these passions and hobbies, and where that gives them sanity in a very organic way.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I think it's beautiful that people are doing that,
Hmm,
because first of all, it makes our world a more beautiful place
true,
with
true.
so many talents around us, and it also keeps us sane and happy.
Right.
And it cuts down the noise in our head about societal expectations, and it cuts down our expectations from society also.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
So you're in a happy zone for that period, so why not? So there's so many painting places, right? You go wine and paint. I don't
yeah.
know if India still has it, but here there's so many these what is it called, paint and wine, I don't know what it's called, but basically you bring a bottle of wine, and each one gets a canvas,
Hmm,
and you paint, and they'll guide you through it even if you're not an artist.
hmm, hmm,
So and so people do that, and I had also given up my music in between
hmm,
because
hmm.
I got sucked into other things in life, and then I came back to it because I realized how it keeps me sane. So actually, on that note, when I was in class here in the US at the Pandit Jasraj school, Bade Guruji was visiting Pandit Jasraj. We were a class of 8 girls, or mixed class. And even in a group, the guru can hear your voice.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So at the end of the class, we all went and touched his feet, and he looked at me and he said, "आपको पहले नहीं देखा कभी,
Mm,
आप नहीं आई हैं."
mm,
So I said to him, I said, I had joined those classes, but then I quit for several years, like 7, 8 years in between, and then I had rejoined. So I said, मैंने किया था, but I've just left in between. Come back, I've just come back.
mm.
So he said, आप बहुत अच्छा गाती हैं. So I
Oh,
said to him, he said, it is sadhana for me. I take it like my spiritual inward enrichment. So
mm.
he looked at me, he said, अगर ऐसा सोचती हैं तो आपको बिल्कुल नहीं छोड़ना चाहिए था.
Yeah, yeah.
So basically, if you felt so enriched and so centered, then you should make sure that you always find time for those activities that anchor you. That's finding your inside anchor.
Yes, yes.
That's also making yourself free in so many ways, because I'm not asking anybody else to be my anchor. I'm anchoring within.
True.
So I think it's midlife rebooting or reclaiming of your life or your passion that you left somewhere, got lost in the run of life. I think it's a wonderful phenomenon. Absolutely, everybody should explore. Go for it.
Absolutely, I agree. And I think it makes you a better person, enriched, fulfilled, because, those little gaps in your life which exist when you're only doing what you're supposed to be doing, which is probably, your job or whatever. But when you do these things, I think you're happier, and that shows in the kind of person you become and how, you are with your loved ones. So I think, yes, it is so, so essential. All right. So, Vineeta, finally, you are like, well, all these years that I've known you, like I said earlier, you've done so many different things, tried out so many different things, and you've always like gone for it and done it well, because you do everything to the best of your ability. You will not leave any stone unturned. I know you, and so I can say this with a lot of conviction. So
Thank you.
if you look at your future, what do you see for yourself? I mean, like whether it is personally or it is professionally, are there any secrets still that you have up your sleeve which we don't know about? Or what is it that you think you will be doing?
Well, thank you for all the good stuff that you just said. Again,
You.
I'm trying to live up to my own expectations.
Yeah.
But no more surprises unless life surprises me. And life has been surprising me. I so many things that I've done were
Yeah.
only because they were dealt to me, and then I was trying to navigate through to the best of my ability.
Mhm.
And like I said, when I came here to this country, I got involved with the PTAs and all because I wanted to understand how schools functioned. Then I got involved with the radio, and then Orator Academy happened. And after my kids were slightly older, they were in high school. They didn't want me around so much in the PTA setup because you don't want to see your parent around in school so much.
Mm.
So then, inspired by my father, I have enjoyed being connected to the community. So if not the schools, then I got engaged with the municipal aspect of the township. And
Mm.
I was on the zoning board and the open space committee, the diversity committee, several of these committees I became a part of. And I then suddenly one day I get a call from a person from the Indian community. Now, the Indian community in this town has also grown. So I
Mm.
got a call from one of the gentlemen saying that, "Hey, Vineeta, the Board of Education has a seat open. The person is retiring, one of the members, and we've never had an Indian person on the Board of Ed. So you need to run for this seat because you have so much credibility in the town. You've done so much and in schools and in the municipality. You are a known figure. You've been here for over 20 years. At that time, it was over 20 years.
Mm.
You need to run for this election."
Okay.
Now, we live in a great town. The school system is very strong.
Mm.
It's about 140, $150 million yearly budget.
Okay.
So it is a really strong school system, and it's getting more and more populated for that reason.
Mm.
But I completely shunned it first, and I said, listen, my kids are not in the school system anymore. I don't personally stand to benefit. Why should I run for Board of Ed? Why
Mm.
should I take on more work? I don't have time right now.
Mm.
I'm very busy with my life. I don't have time. So I declined it. I got three more phone calls from three different people. I declined it.
Mm.
And then I got another call, and that person said, it's really sad because you are really the strongest candidate that I can think of, and you are not willing to run for the seat. It is really sad. And this was year 2020 when COVID had already hit.
Okay.
And they said to me, you have good communication skills and you've done so much, you have credibility, run for the seat. And nobody's going to probably run against you, because who wants to be in that position during COVID, when everything is so unknown.
Yeah.
Schools became virtual. There was so much chaos in
Mm.
many ways. So
Yeah.
who's going to want to be on the school board? You should run.
Okay.
So they talked, and I said, I don't have the bandwidth. I don't know how to run a campaign. We'll run it for you. Just say yes.
Mm.
Okay. Yes. Fine. I'm
Mm.
running. We'll see. Well, when it came to the final date of filing, when you find out who else is running,
Mm.
there were three more people.
Oh, okay. All right.
There
Okay.
were three more people who must have thought the exact same thing that my people were telling me, that nobody's going to want to run, you'll be unopposed, blah, blah, blah. Man, four people for one seat,
Yeah.
and four pretty good people, very strong people. And in fact, one person who is very active in the community, she was talking to me and she said, Vineeta, I'm going to be very honest with you. You are a great candidate and you've done so much and you have good chances of winning. But the other, specifically the two out of the three other candidates, are really strong. And they have that sauce, a special sauce that you don't have, because they were educators. They
Okay.
were actually working in another school system as teachers. One was a math teacher, and one was a special education teacher and an English teacher.
Mm.
So that they have that. So that lady in her Jewish accent, they have that sauce that you don't have, Vineeta. I'm just being very honest with you.
Mm.
So now the thing is, I've already put my hat in, so I'm not going to shame myself and say, oh, I'm a chicken and I'm chickening out and I don't think I have a chance. I said, you know what, I'll see. I'm
Yeah.
going to go through this experience. My campaign team was brilliant. They were doing a lot of work on the back end. Lawn signs were ordered, lawn signs were put all over. Then started the debates and started the interviews, one-on-ones, because you're trying to reintroduce yourself to many other people who may not know you, despite having been there 2 decades. So when I kept telling my people, I said, I'm running to lose.
Mm.
But I'm going to give it my best, because you guys are working so hard behind the scenes. They raised $10,000 in fundraising, and all was spent because ads were given out and social media ads were being done. Long story short, election day, I won with such a substantial lead. It was unbelievable.
Mm.
Apparently, yes, I had credibility. I had done so much,
Mm.
and they liked the way I came across in the interviews and the debates.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
I was never contentious. I was always happy, friendly, and I was always stating what I had done. So the proof is in the pudding. I strongly believe that. I don't
Wow.
need to put anybody down in a debate also to make myself look better. I will just state the facts
Yeah.
and state what I have done, because my pudding is pretty sweet and pretty large.
Mm. Mm.
So that happened. I became the first Indian to
Mm.
be elected to public office. My name was on the ballot. One side was Biden and Kamala Harris. The other side was me.
Wow.
It
Wow.
was
Okay.
it was really surreal for me.
I can
So
imagine.
I kept telling myself that win or lose, I'll save the ballot.
Yeah.
But so then I did a 3-year term, and it was so gratifying, because even though my kids are not in the school system anymore, I was able to look out for so many more children. People felt very comfortable coming to me, talking to me, opening up to me. We had some crazy, some wild experiences, and some very happy experiences. I also had, I was the president of the Board of Ed last year when this whole Hamas attack happened in Israel,
Mm.
and
Mm.
all hell broke loose, because this is a very diverse community. We have a substantial amount of Jewish demographic in our community. In fact, it's predominantly Jewish,
Okay.
and so it was a very precarious time to keep their nerves
Yeah.
calm, and be assuring that they were safe and their children were safe, and keeping the Muslim community calm and make them feel safe that you guys are safe. And it was that was all under my presidence. It was even though it was outlandish. Normally, being on the board of ed, you don't go through those experiences, but I think that made me an even stronger
Hmm.
leader, I feel. And now that I'm on that path, to your point as to what next is in store, I feel I'd like to explore this more, even though I got off the Board of Education.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
I do want to explore if I have a place in the political arena going forward,
Yeah. Yeah.
because I've tasted blood, not literally.
Well, I
but
understand what you're trying to say. Yeah. Hmm.
but the thing is that I feel like I'm able to connect and bridge the gap and make it easier for
Yeah.
people to speak up.
Yeah.
Because after my election, okay, the first person of Indian descent got elected, brilliant, brilliant. And I told everybody, if I get elected, you guys can't be just riding on my shoulder. You need to step up to the plate as well.
Yeah.
So after my election, 2 years later, another Indian girl ran for a seat and
Hmm.
she got it. And
Wow.
then this year, we are all set to have another person, gentleman, on the town council.
Okay.
So I
So
feel
you
like I opened that
paved the
door.
way. Yes.
I
Yes.
paved
Yes.
the way. The door is open and people have walked through. My job is done in this area at least. Now
Hmm.
I need to go beyond. Now I need to go beyond the town.
Okay.
And so let's see. I don't know. That's what is kind of in store for me. I'm exploring,
Hmm.
and I'm letting everybody guide me and advise me.
Yeah.
And because I've enjoyed advocating for
Hmm.
people and being the voice of the community.
Hmm.
So hopefully I can take it further and
Sure.
see.
I'm so sure. I know you. I know what you're capable of. And if you set your mind to do something, I'm so sure that you will just get there. So maybe after Kamala Harris, maybe she's paved the way for you. So here goes. All right. Okay. So now, Vineeta, we come to the grand finale, which is the rapid fire round. Okay, 5 quick questions, 5 quick answers.
Ooh,
All right.
pressure, quick questions and quick answers.
So I'll start with a simple one. Favorite book or podcast?
Oh, favorite podcast about her.
Okay,
Uh,
thank you.
that was easy. And after about her, it's Oats Uncut,
Of course.
favorite podcast.
Yes.
And then favorite book. Well, it's hard again as for a Gemini to pick one book, but so let me say at least one was Albert Camus' The Stranger,
Oh,
because it first of all, it was a lot said in very little,
okay.
100 pages, but loaded,
Hmm.
and makes you really think about the stranger within.
Okay.
Do I know myself? We are all strangers to ourselves sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this whole journey of even communication is about getting to know yourself.
Hmm.
So becoming friendly and aware of the stranger within. So that was good. And then, of course, the first time I read Tagore, I could never get it out of my mind.
Hmm.
I read Home and the World, Ghore Bhaire,
Okay.
and it blew my mind because I'd never read Tagore before, and I thought this man really understood women so well. How? And if
Well,
if he could, he's mentioned nuances of a woman's emotion which only a woman can understand. So how did he know that? Did somebody
million
tell
dollar
him?
question.
Did somebody tell him? Did he pick brains of women around him?
Hmm.
Unbelievable, and in every capacity,
Yeah.
personal and otherwise, it's just mind blowing.
Hmm.
So yeah, those two.
Okay. Next. What's your favorite productivity hack?
Productivity hack
Hmm.
is basically just focusing, like really anchor and focus on the task at hand.
Yeah.
Cut out the noise, give it your all, and never look back. If it hits bullseye, brilliant. If
Hmm.
not, try again. Be resolute.
Great.
If you give up, the world will give up on you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. The biggest lesson that you've learned from a failure?
Ooh. Failure. The biggest lesson I have learned from a failure is you got to be stronger.
Yes.
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Right. Right. All right.
So a failure does not mean that's a full stop.
Absolutely.
It's just a pause. Maybe you needed that pause to catch a breather,
Yeah.
recalibrate, and redo.
Great. Great. Next, how do you unwind after a long day?
With a good glass of wine and great music.
Great. I think I know that. All right.
You know, when I went to, in 2020, I went to the Sufi festival in Jodhpur. You were there too.
Yeah. Right.
I could have died and been happy to
Yeah.
have died in that place because that was just beyond what I could have asked for. Music from day morning to night. It
Yes.
was just absolutely a whole different zone. So yes,
I
the
can so
biggest.
relate to this. Yeah. All right. And the final question. If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
If I could have a superpower, I wish to have that ability to devise and inject joy and positivity in every brain and every heart.
I love that extra emphasis on certain words because they are like, they actually have the effect of injecting something into you, which is all positive. All right. Okay, so Vineeta Khanna, indeed an absolutely delightful conversation. I mean, I've known you for years, but I don't think, you actually know a person till you've had a heart-to-heart chat, and that too for an extended period of time. Just catching up on coffee and maybe discussing what is, on top of your mind is one thing, but to be able to have a deep, candid conversation for an extended period of time really helps you know the person. And am I glad I know you? So thank you
Oh,
so much for being on the show. It was an absolute pleasure. And like I mentioned at the beginning, well, we did wait a lot for this to happen, right?
and like I said, I was making sure that I'm worthy of this talk,
Oh,
worthy to
yeah,
be
sure.
about your podcast. But no, it's been, again, looking back, it's so joyful to see how beautifully connections evolve and grow.
Yeah.
And even though you evolve individually, you
Yes.
still connect actually at a better level after evolving separately also.
Yes.
And again, as girls, we need to stick together. We need to fix each other's crowns, make sure that we all look fabulous and the best that we can,
Absolutely.
and be each other's wind beneath the wings. So thank you for having me over. I'm so honored to be with you today, and thanks for being such a trailblazer yourself. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to the About Her show. If you enjoyed this episode, there's plenty more from where that came from. Our previous guests have shared some amazing stories, so be sure to catch up on past episodes. To keep up with our inspiring conversations and to never miss an update, hit subscribe, rate, review, and share the love. Follow us on social media for some great content, and don't forget to check out our website www.aboutherbysangeeta.com for stories that resonate, inspire, and empower. Know a remarkable woman or an inspiring man blazing a trail? We'd love to hear from you. Drop us a note at web.abouther@gmail.com and let's bring their story to life on the About Her show.